Well, hello, you're very welcome to the Irish Independence League of Ireland preview show, joined by Dan McDonnell to look ahead to 5 big games this Friday night in the League of Ireland Premier Division. Dan, I suppose the last couple of weeks, I think Aidan said it the other day, we're probably sick of using the word ominous to discuss Shamrock Rovers at the moment, but they were the big winners from the bank holiday weekend, 2 wins out of 2, and winning last Monday when no one else won as well. And now when you look at that point, but that difference between third and ninth in terms of points, only 6 or 7 points between them, it kind of feels like there's Waterford at the bottom, the chasing pack, Pats in second, and Rovers tipping along.
Yeah, look, I think Pats would take that if they're perceived to be away from the pack. I mean, there might still be a road to travel on that, but I think the disappointment from Pat's perspective is that they had a bank holiday weekend on the road and didn't win either game. And I think, look, if you're going to stop Shamrock Rovers winning the league, I think personally a team needs to have a gap ahead of them. I know that they're going to be missing Pico for the World Cup this year, and it can always be tricky for them around July when Europe kicks in and their schedule can become a little bit more irregular. But you still feel like, you think of Shells in 2024, the key was they opened up a gap. It just doesn't feel like anyone is consistent enough to do that. And as you mentioned, the gap between third and ninth, the fact that Bows are 9 games without win and still third. I mean, that is striking. And I suppose it shows for anyone that's in a bad way how 2 or 3 wins can change the perspective. Like this time last week, I know there would have been conversations about Shells and what's going on there. Now I know that they didn't win on Monday, they were minutes away, but you looked at the league table as it stood at that stage, and like 2 wins back to back would have transformed their position. So like that is, for everyone else who has like European ambitions and stuff, nothing has won or nothing has lost. But I suppose in the general picture of Rovers, like they're cruising. And I know Stephen Bradley this week speaking about maybe he would have been willing to let Victor Osimhen go away on that training camp, which was never going to have League of Ireland players in it, I think, when it was mid-season. But if any club could probably afford to do it at the moment with their squad depth, it is Rovers, whereas I'm not so sure if Bows could be doing without Dawson Devoid for a week. So like that sort of, even that in itself sort of illustrates the difference between teams, unfortunately.
No, Rovers definitely enjoying the best of the bank holiday results. I suppose we should start with the news this Thursday morning on Graham Coughlan getting the Waterford job until the end of the season. I suppose like it's been a disastrous start to the season for them, still waiting for their first win. It's a massive job to turn things around. That contract until the end of the season would probably, it's not a 2-year deal, it's not a 3-year deal.
No.
The main objective is to secure their top flight status for next season. Well, what can fans probably expect from him? I know he's probably pulled off 1 or 2 great escapes in the past, sort of thing as well.
Yeah, I would have met him when he was managing in England at Bristol Rovers, and he is someone who left Ireland in the 90s and to go to Blackburn initially. He was Cherry Orchard, and then he had an involvement with Bray, and then he would have gone to effectively survived in that sort of unglamorous circus in England. And I suppose like the Fleetwood Waterford team over the winter, they were looking at probably domestic appointments, for the first time, in a real concerted way. I know previously, to be fair, they did hire Keith Long, so maybe in the last couple of years there's been a little bit of a change, but they were looking at Kilduff and sort of John Russell and various people. I suppose this is a bit of both, and that it's, it is an Irish voice, but it is someone who they'd very much be familiar with from their world. And yeah, like the nature of the various jobs he's gone into at various clubs, be it Mansfield or other places. You go in, you firefight, you assess what you have, and you give it a go. I mean, this time last year, give or take a week, it was John Coleman they brought in, and was probably a similar enough remit. I just think the problem they have is that there seems to be just like a general sort of like defensively they're just struggling really badly. And I suppose, look, he is a former defender himself, and maybe he can come in and put some kind of shape on the team that can tighten them up. But equally, you have to go and win games in their situation. They're not going to draw themselves out of trouble. Like we mentioned, how a couple of wins back to back can really change it. And they do have good attacking players. It's probably the strongest part of their squad. So they're sort of in between. So what? They go to Pats on Friday. What's that? Like he's appointed on Wednesday. So he's got sort of 48 hours to go in. And I mean, what can you do in that time? you try and construct a game plan that's difficult to beat against a side that has lots of goals in them. But I suppose in a way I can't imagine there'd be much expectation around this week other than hoping for this sort of bounce that's very hard to explain, but a team can sometimes get. Then they've actually played okay against away to some of the bigger Dublin clubs this year. That actually hasn't been their problem really, some of the other games. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how he gets on, but I do think, and anecdotally from speaking to people, I think if they were a mid-table team, there would have been all sorts of different candidates in for the job. I think it really is a job for someone who's out of work, who wants to, who just needs to who wants to be active. For a sort of a younger manager starting off, that would be a red flag job, and that's why you've ended up with a sort of and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, because it's very hard to make a living in the lower reaches of English football. There have been times where Graham Coughlan has been the only Irish manager active, but it is sort of like a journeyman role, this, and that's what he has to try and do now.
It's a massive task ahead for him to secure safety for Waterford. Dan, I might move on to Dundalk hosting Bows this Friday. Two teams who probably didn't have the bank holiday weekends they would have liked. Dundalk 1 point from their last 3 games, and that winless run for Bows is quite remarkable, and they go to a place where a lot of teams have found Oriel Park tough so far this season. I know Shells won there last week though as well, but before you know it, that winless run could become 10 or 11, and I suppose they just have to get a win from somewhere.
Yeah, no, they do. I mean, and it is stating blindingly obvious, but when you have just a winless run, you just need any kind of win. As Dundalk is one where I know that they probably didn't play their best against Shells last Friday, and that was the Kieran Kilduff reaction. Seems like in Waterford they were in control and they let it slip. And again, some other games, I think, they started the season so well. They actually took double points from a couple of the weekends early on. I don't know, maybe it's just a little bit of fatigue. They are down a couple of bodies, and the Conor Cairns loss has definitely been felt again in Minogue. I think he made an amazing save, I think, in Waterford, but they have probably they've conceded 1 or 2 goals too many. So yeah, it is a sort of a tough one to call. I mean, Bows now really, we were speaking a couple of weeks ago about their defensive strength. I think it's typical now. People learn a little bit about how you play and this new Todd Hickey combination, and clubs are finding a way to hurt them. And I suppose you can look at this game and you see a Ruby and you can see Todd and Hickey, and you can see it being a real collision. But I suppose from Bo's perspective, it's maybe the other end where they've tried different things. They tried 2 up front, it didn't work. James Taylor's been disappointing when he's played after injury. They're probably a better side without the attacking 2, but sometimes that can make them easy to sort of cancel out. So it's a bit of a tough one for them. Yeah, I think you're at that area. That's a good game, I think.
Yeah, no, look forward to it. I might move on to Shells against Sligo Rovers. You mentioned Alan Reynolds there under pressure. Jerry O'Brien was under a good bit of pressure until the last probably game or two. Have seemed to turn things around a little bit with a win and a draw in the last 2 games. Sligo Rovers went on that kind of brief winning run, but not the weekend they would have wanted as well. So it's probably 2 teams who could do with a result here.
Yeah, I think the angle here is Shell's home form. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. If you look at the home away table that you can look at in some of the apps, Shells are the top team in the country away from home this year and the worst team in the country at home. They've got 3 points from their home games. So it's funny, you can talk about pressure lifting, but if you have your Friday regulars who only go to home games, haven't seen, are not seeing the team win, I think there is pressure around this game for him. I think it's and just for the whole group in general, because in fairness to Shells, they've built their supporter base. I think in fairness it's held up reasonably well. I think they've done good work around the place in recent years in that regard, even post Duff. But obviously there's only so many times you can play at home and not win before people get a bit antsy. So it's extraordinary. They basically have title winning form away from home in terms of the number of points that they've taken, but it's relegation form at home. It's very hard to get your head around it, because you would obviously assume that it's harder to go away and get results, and there's obviously a mental block at home that's hurt them. And listen, they've sort of, you could do a fairly good blooper reel of goals they've conceded. I think Sligo Rovers they're coming into it now where, again, they had that bounce where they picked up a couple of wins in a row, changes the look of your position, and that's great. But I suppose, the disappointing defeat and draw for them steadied the ship a little bit with the draw on Monday, but they just want to be, the reality is that gap you mentioned, or that 3rd to 9th scenario, basically means all those teams are looking up, but they have to look over their shoulder as well.
For sure. I might move on to Galway United against Shamrock Rovers. Galway, as we've mentioned the last few weeks, kind of tipping along nicely. I think 3 draws in a row in their last 3 games, and Shamrock Rovers, as we said, looking to pick up yet another win. But I know MDC Park, they haven't exactly had things all their own way on their last couple of trips there, kind of winning by 1 goal margin, and I think Galway holding them to a scoreless draw late last year as well.
Yeah, although I don't think Galway have beaten Shamrock Rovers, I don't know, 19 dickety do or something. It's some ridiculous record where they haven't beaten Rovers. It's come back. I think it's come back over 20 years. But you're right, like they've definitely caused them more problems in games, and I think there's been a couple of times in MDC Park in recent years where they've nicked late results. I think probably for Galway, a bit uncharacteristic to concede late in Derry at the weekend. Although again, it's a talking point with Kevin Doherty after the game on Monday. Everyone is conceding more goals pretty much, so you could have this conversation about every team. She's a set of character, they're conceding this or that. At what stage do you think just this is the character of the teams in the league at the moment, that there is no real true like rock solid team that you can trust to eke out the 1-0? I mean, Bows would probably been a little bit like that at the start of the season, but you wouldn't even describe Rovers in those terms. Like they give teams a chance, and they have given teams a chance, and they're playing sort of very good to watch. But even in the game against Drogheda on Monday, where they won comfortably, I mean, they conceded 1, and it wouldn't have been sort of against the run of play if they conceded another, so that is, you can always revert to sort of your stereotypical view of this will be a tight contest, etc. It might not be this season, but I think Rovers are in such a rhythm that you'd fancy them anywhere, I think.
But you look at even Rovers' game before that against Drogheda, and they really had to survive a couple of late chances in the second half. Is there any, I suppose, reason?
Waterford, yeah.
Waterford, yeah. Sorry, yeah. Is there any, can you put your finger on it in terms of, at this point in the season, there's far more goals conceded than...
I don't think anyone can. No, we spoke to Kevin Doherty about it. I don't think anyone can, because often what you would have is like, you come to the second round of games and people are more familiar with each other, and you fear the teams cancel themselves out a little bit more because they know, they learn more about each other. But look, it could just be really poor defending. I mean, it just could be as simple as that, look, Shamrock Rovers, I said this year, they're playing Jack Byrne a lot, Ajahn Vuna, we'll see. Like obviously each game Matt Healy often plays, but Watts has been out. Burke, they have such, they're such progressive sort of attacking players that they probably trust themselves to take risks. Although sometimes again, like they went to Derry and they struggled, but they probably played the pitch a little bit there, and they that was something they probably got sucked into a little bit. But generally, if the surface is okay, the games involving them have been quite good to watch. But I don't think anyone, it was a talking point with Kevin Doherty on Monday, I don't think anyone really has the clear answer for this.
Just the final game on Friday, Drogheda against Derry City. The feeling is kind of Derry really haven't kicked on at all since that big win over Shamrock Rovers 2 weeks ago, and it kind of feels like there's still a little bit of air of pressure, uncertainty, that they're only probably a poor result or two from all that pressure.
Oh yeah, definitely, and this is a real it's sort of a litmus test game for them. Now, as I said, Kevin Doherty is very frustrated with his Drogheda team, and maybe feels that they're not as consistent. You would think, look, last Friday at home they were making blocks and tackles, and it was maybe an old school Drogheda performance. Didn't see it on Monday, but they have a good record against Derry. Like, they've caused them a lot of problems. I mean, the game earlier this season, it was a strange one where Derry went 2 up and sort of Drogheda mugged them with 2 long range shots, but they've generally a very good record against them. And I think while Drogheda, I have to be conscious that Drogheda are not the Drogheda they were maybe in terms of, again, the cliches you'll use to describe them, I sort of feel that they have the attributes to really ask questions of Derry, who, I don't feel they're out of the woods yet at all. I don't think that they've been particularly convincing really in too many games. They obviously showed up in the Rovers match, but there was the pitch, there was sort of unique circumstances. There's a cup final aspect for that with the crowd and everything that came out. I think it was poor enough, against Galway on Monday by all accounts. They did get the late goal, but I still feel that they're one team that's 1 or 2 bad results away from that sort of crisis mode.
That's a big one on the road for Derry on Friday. So 5 big games to look forward to this Friday night. We'll be across all the latest here on the Irish Independent. We'll also be back with our Friday night review from around the grounds here on the Irish Independent. Thanks for watching.